What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Midnight Rockers. One of my favorite dudes is here, the homie Lex.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Chilling.
Thanks for coming, man.
No problem, man. Thanks for the invite.
We were just talking about like it's been a year since you came over. So yeah, man, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, obviously about the brand, and we can start there.
I'm just an independent company. I've always been kind of an entrepreneur growing up, trying different type of genres as far as like, clothing, music, business, working 9 to 5s, but I always saw myself as someone that more than just going to work a 9 to 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started this brand 2020. I started with the pandemic happened. I still had a job because I was still what they called it, the people that were still able to work.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the word.
Oh yeah. They had like the like you were. Oh yeah, that phrase.
That phrase they called it, they forgot about
like you're important or something. Yeah.
So I still had a job and I was still getting that check that they gave. So I was like, I have this little extra money. There's a lot of people out there aren't working because their jobs aren't in that category.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking like, what if this should happen to me? Fortunately, I was able to work still. So I always wanted to start a brand.
Did you have this already idea, like the brand idea already beforehand, or did you develop it like during the pandemic?
It kind of developed as far as the name.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I want to make a brand that not.
So you didn't have this idea prior?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just focused on. At the time, I was just focused on my 9 to 5. Really, not thinking outside the box at the moment. I was a little comfortable, but yeah. So I always want to start a brand. But as far as the name and the concept behind this brand wasn't something I thought about in the past. So with this one, I thought before starting the brand, I thought what can I do that a lot of people will have in common or relate to, or kind of what's the word? Yeah, kind of like relate to, like when you see a shirt or something on the store in the store and you're like, oh, this is dope. Like I'll rock that. You know what I mean?
Well, why that? Because like you could have really gone any way, right?
Yeah.
With that sort of thing. But why
Why I like the name Raised by Immigrants? Really because it's who I was, who I am. Both my parents came from Mexico and
what part?
My dad's from Zacatecas, my mom's from Jalisco.
Yeah.
They met out here. They met in, I believe, middle school, and they're both young. Yeah, they're in middle school. They're both young.
So their parents came over.
Yeah, they came over as well.
With them.
Yeah, with them.
When they were young.
Yeah.
How old were they? Do you know?
I believe my dad was like 10, 11, because he was in middle school, but I believe he was here before middle school. And my mom as well. First, as far as I know, with my mom, my grandpa, he would come himself, trying to establish like, okay, you get an apartment, I guess a job. Then he brought my mom and my aunt.
What years were that? Do you know, roundabout?
Might have been like the 70s, 60s, 70s. I was born in the 80s. Yeah, so it might have been like 60s, 70s, because my dad was a Pachuco, you know what I mean? So that was kind of that era.
Yeah.
He came in Venice, was probably popular in that, because my dad grew up in Venice, my mom grew up in West LA. So in that era,
was he around? Wasn't there like some big riot or something like that? Am I thinking correct?
Like the Pachuco riots?
Yeah. Or was that before his time?
I don't know, maybe. He always tells me like supposedly those old school movies used to like try to contact him. But I don't know, it's my pops just talking, But yeah, even now, like you'll see him, he'll be dressed in his long coat with khakis on, his Pachuco shoes with the diamond in the front, the penguin ones.
Yeah.
Damn. And my dad's old school, man.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I still have my dad around, and my mom's around. But my dad, like I said, they were both young, and sometimes they had kids young. They were both in high school when they had an older brother. So like growing up, growing up was kind of different, I guess you could say, because they're both kids still growing up, raising kids. You know what I mean? New to a country, and as kids, us, we don't think about that. You know, we just think about like, oh, well, my pops ain't around, whoopty woo, you know. But when you grow older, you think back, like now, I think back now, like, okay, he was just a kid, you know. When I was his age, I was not thinking of having kids, you know, especially he was a new country. So you think different as an adult. So I wanted to do something to represent for my parents.
Okay.
And my, I guess, and all the other ethnicities that are also like first generation or migrated from different parts of the world.
I find that maybe you can agree or not, but I find that most times like first generation in America like really still have like a deep sense of pride for their culture and wanting to represent that, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I think like that's for me too.
Yeah.
Like even how I've been expressing myself musically, like it didn't start out that way for me, but as I progressed, I've always had that though, and I think you can relate. You just always grow up with that because you know that struggle.
Yeah.
And you know your parents, and it's like you share it, so you value where you came from in those roots, so you carry that with you, huh?
Yeah. You could say it that way, because you're raised in a house where your mom's always bumping Spanish music, watching novelas. So it's like, you know, you grow up in that, like, I guess you grow up in the sense where you still feel the roots, you're still part of the roots. Growing up though, like, you know, I didn't know my parents were immigrants, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were immigrants. Like I've mentioned before, as a kid, you don't go around asking kids, hey, you know, where you from? Are you from U.S. or Mexico or like Salvador, Guatemala? Because you don't know. You're just growing up around kids. You think you're in everyone's from, you know.
Well, how was that here? Because I feel like for me it was different in Texas.
Yeah.
Mainly for me it was Mexicans and blacks.
Yeah.
So how was it? Because here in LA, obviously there's everything.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Inglewood, in the city of Inglewood. Right there was kind of like Latinos and blacks. You'll see we had one white neighbor. That was probably like the only dude down the block. His name was Juan Pablo too. It was funny, but he was white. But yeah, man, like the first time I would say, like one of my homies, he was born in Zacatecas, but I didn't know he was born out there till we grew up, probably like in middle school, because I knew him since elementary. So like middle school, high school, then you're like, oh yeah, I wasn't born here. I was born in Zacatecas. I had another homie was born in Sinaloa. But growing up, you don't know. You're like, you know what I mean? You think everyone's from here. But the first time I got a sense where like I wasn't like growing up, to be honest. So because my homies were a lot of them born in Mexico. And sometimes I felt like, man, I'm not Latino, I'm not Mexican enough, you know, because of my homies, a lot of them were born in Mexico. I was born out here. But I always felt that, because my homie was born in Mexico. The first time I kind of knew he wasn't born, or like there's homies that aren't born here and are born in Mexico, was he was new to school, right? He was new to school, so of course the new kid always stands out. And they nicknamed him Paisa, you know? And, well, one kid always tried to pick on the homie, you know? Then the homie Paisa kind of whooped his ass. So then we're like, oh shit, you know? The homie gets down.
Yeah.
So that I got a feeling like, yeah, my people are down, you know? Like, you get that feeling like, oh, okay, you can't. So then I kind of related more to him, because I always kind of, you know, growing up, I was in a Paisa club, you could call it, you know, where you go to like, I don't know, potreros and out here, those little clubs, you know, Spanish clubs.
There was actually a little rancho near where my family's from called El Potrero.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different, you know, but it's dope. Like,
so when by the time you were born, were your parents residents, or
I think growing up, my mom I think probably when I was like in middle school, she became a resident. Her and my pops. Because I remember my grandpa, they made him a resident. Yeah, around that time.
So you never grew up with that sense of like the immigration or things like that?
Nah, because I never really thought it. Never really crossed my mind. You know, I never really crossed my mind like. I knew my parents didn't speak English. You know, because I grew up in this old Spanish household. So when you go to school, that's when I kind of learned English and stuff like that. And you see, but even as a kid, I could remember even as a kid, you know, you see a different ethnicity, but you don't really think much of it. You know what I mean? You don't think. I didn't think too much of that it was a whole different. Like we're all just one people. When we're as kids, you know, we just think we're friends with everybody. You know, we don't care of your race, and so maybe, yeah. So I didn't really think. I thought of us all as humans. You know what I mean?
So was there like a certain way your parents were raising you at home in regards to like going to school or facing America? Because like I know at home, like my parents growing up, they wanted balance. They wanted that part of us to go get educated.
Yeah.
And not just speak English, but speak it well.
Yeah.
But at home, like they wanted us speaking Spanish. We weren't allowed to talk to them in English, even though my parents both wrote and spoke it.
Yeah.
But how was it? How was it for you?
I saw my mom. She when I was in elementary, she would go to night school to learn English. So I saw her dedication in trying to grow us as an individual. That kind of helped me be a better student. Like I grew up a nerd. I was a funny kid, nerd in class, but I always kind of gave that. I guess try to be a tough demeanor, you know, outside of class, you know. But as far as my grades, I had good grades. I didn't tell anybody I had good grades, you know, except the teachers and you. But so my mom kind of motivated me to try to be more, you know what I mean? I saw her working. My pops was there, but he was kind of on and off, you know. He, as sad as it could be, you know, sometimes you become a product of your environment. And my pops, he was, like I said, he was new to this country, he grew up. By the time he was 24, he had 5 kids. You know, it was like, all right, 24, 5 kids. He probably came to the U.S. 10 years before that, prior to that. It's still new to him, you know what I mean? And so my pops was there. I always remember his stories growing up. But he always kind of went back and forth to Mexico to kind of like maybe sober up or whatever, you know?
How long were those stretches? Do you remember?
Sometimes it could be like years. Like he was always there for like graduation, you know. When I played soccer, he would go to my soccer games, and when I was in middle school. So there's always those little moments you remember, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now he's here. He's here as we're adults, so it's kind of cool what he's with his grandchildren, you know what I mean?
Have you talked to him about that at all, or has he opened up to you about that? Or
not really.
No,
not really. Sometimes I don't know if there's a Latino thing. We don't go too much deep in like, yo, pops, you know, like I could have used you growing up, you know what I mean? But he always taught. What I did learn from my pops is always kind of like, all right, if you're gonna do something, sometimes it's best to do it yourself, because you're the only person that's gonna kind of like keep you going. Like my pops, he also motivated me. He grew up, like I said, he grew up in Venice. He learned English working in a mechanic shop. So my pops, my moms, they both speak good English. He was always like, he did a karate. So his mentor is Bruce Lee. I remember there's a picture of my pops on top of a rock somewhere by the beach, like Bruce Lee. So like even now he tries to show off and do push-ups with his fingers, you know. And so you know, my pops, he was there when during the right moments, I guess you could say. But my mom's, you know, she was there the whole time.
So your dad was around Bruce Lee, or he just looked up to him?
He watched those movies, like all the Bruce Lee. To this day, he was influenced by Bruce Lee. So that was kind of like his karate was probably his outlet.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he would tell me he'll go to Mexico, and everybody would try to fight him, but they didn't know he probably trained karate out here, you know. So he will whoop everyone's ass. Like he'll go to different pueblos, like trying to find the toughest dude.
Yeah.
So that's kind of something I learned when I was in middle school, because you know, from like elementary, we hopped to a different middle school. Then of course you go to different high school. So high school was different, but as far as middle school, I wanted to establish myself. You know what I mean? So like.
What do you mean? How so?
Because the middle school I went to was from like kindergarten to 8th grade.
Oh wow.
My elementary was kindergarten, 6th grade. So the 6th graders go to that middle school. That people there, the kids there, already kind of know each other. You know what I mean? So when I went there, I asked, not that I was like a tough guy or anything, but I went there and I asked one of the kids who was already in that school from like kindergarten, like, yo, bro, who's the toughest 7th grader in our class? You know, like in our 7th grade class. And he told me, and for some reason, every time I saw him in campus, like I'll bump him, you know, shoulder bump or something. Until the day he.
Cause you're a little, you're tall and big.
Yeah.
Like so, and during that, like how tall, how big were you?
I was probably like 5'10". Cause I remember in 9th grade I was 5'11", 215. So middle and 7th, 8th grade, I was probably like 5'9", 5'10". Probably like 1. I was always a big dude, little chubby little kid. But
why did you feel like that you had to, I guess, establish that for yourself?
I don't know, because I didn't want to be the one to get bullied, I guess. Not that I was a bully, because I didn't go out trying to punk people. But I guess there was a sense coming from my elementary, going to another, all the kids, all the 6th graders were like, yo, like, we got to take the school over somehow. You know, I don't know why that's how we thought, you know what I mean? And so I guess everybody had a different task. So my task to myself was like, I'm going to find the toughest kid and try and punk him or something. But till the day he stood up to me, like, I guess he had enough, you know?
Yeah.
We were playing soccer and they were playing football. And he was a Latino dude, a Latino kid too. So it's not like it was nothing racist or racial or anything. We're both Latinos, so.
How was the difference in sizes?
He was skinnier, but he was kind of my height, but he was more slim. But supposedly, yeah, he was the toughest kid on campus. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna beat up the toughest kid, or try to intimidate him, not fight him, but try to maybe intimidate him.
Yeah.
So the day we're playing, we're on the field. The soccer ball rolls over to where they're playing football, and I just go up and push him. And I guess so we're all surrounded by friends. He's like, oh, I can't let this shit happen, you know, of course, you know.
Yeah.
So he tried to, he didn't push me back, but he tried to score up. But we didn't even fight. It was just kind of everybody got around, like, hey. So security came and, tackled me, and then the other kid, he didn't do nothing to the other kid, because the other kid played football, and the security was the football coach. So this guy took me out, you know. But it's all good. But then we're cool after that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he told me, what's up, man? Like, I don't know, bro. I just, you know, I think I explained to him why, you know? But we're cool after that day.
Was that your first, I guess, fight or experience with the fight, or had you had any experiences before then?
No. My first experience with the fight was standing up to the neighborhood bully. Like some
How
kid.
old were you then?
I was probably in middle school, and he was probably 2 years older than me. But he was friends with the kid downstairs. So he will come over. He'll try, my sister, I guess they're good looking or whatever. So he'll try to pick up, but kind of being disrespectful, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he'll try to punk my little brother. So one day, I don't know, I woke up one day and I was like, hey, I told my sister, my brother, I was like, hey, if this dude comes over here talking shit, we're going to fight. For some reason. I just woke up that day man, I had enough of probably, you know what I mean? But yeah, I stood up to him. I seen him, my little brother, walk, hey, Alex, so-and-so's coming, you know, down the block. Because we would live downstairs so you could see people walking down the street. And it's funny, the first thing he does is try to clown my little brother. And I was like, hey, yo, man, leave my little brother alone, you know? So he was like, what you gonna do? And I was like, well, let's fight, I guess, you know? So we went and we fought. And then, my mom comes down, my neighbors break it up, you know? But after that day, he didn't punk my little brother. He didn't punk me. He didn't.
So y'all actually got down like through swing, yeah.
Yeah, we got down, and I would say, for him being older, he was taller than me.
Yeah.
So for him being older, I guess I wanted to fight because my neighbor, who was his friend, used to make fun of him, like, "Yo, you got beat up by Alex," like, you know. So he didn't come around for a while too, for like maybe he felt like embarrassed or something, you know. But then when he finally came around, he was like, "Oh, cool, man, what's up?" Like acting like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he never sent it to my little brother no more, you know.
Yep. I remember one time I was in, I think it was 4th grade, and we were in PE. And it was the weirdest non-fight I'd ever been. So like, we were playing baseball, and there was this other kid, and he was like, growing up, man, I was always the good kid, but I was always really into sports, you know? And I always had that like obsession, like I want to win, you know, at everything. So we were playing baseball in PE, and they had split us up into teams, and this kid that was on the opposite team, we just, like, my team, like, just nailed them, right?
Yeah.
So we're waiting to get back inside the class. All of a sudden, I feel that somebody jump on top of me, like behind. And I'm like swinging around, like, what is going on? Like, kind of shocked and stuff, you know, trying to get him off me. And then everybody's yelling, fight, fight. And I'm like, fight. I'm like confused. Next thing I know, like, teachers come and separate us. You know, and again, man, I didn't get in trouble, you know? So immediately I was like, what's happening? And so they took us both to the principal's office. And again, man, I didn't go to the principal's office. And so they sat us down. They're like, what happened? I was like, I just beat him in baseball. And next thing I know, he's jumping on top of me. But yeah, that was like the weirdest non-fight, you know, that he lost.
That kind of was the feel when I fought that dude in school. We kind of just circle around. Everybody circle around you. You don't really fight, but people think you're fighting.
Yeah, to be a kid, man.
Yeah, but I guess now that I think back, the reason why I thought that way was because I remember one time the neighbors, like I had a neighbor that was my age, and my little brother had a neighbor that was his age, and sometimes we will. I guess train fight with each, like, you know, each other. We're like, oh, let's train. We're homies, so like, what if someone tries to punk us, or I don't know. So we would train fight, and so my little brother fought my homie's brother, which they're the same age, and my little brother kind of got roughened up, you know. He didn't. I guess he lost. You know what I mean? So that same evening, I went to go tell my pops, but he didn't know the background of the story. I was like, hey, Dad, like, in Spanish, like, hey, Dad, like, so-and-so beat up Richie, you know? And he was like, you were there? And I was like, yeah. So my dad whooped my ass. He was like, never let that happen again. So that's why I think maybe I stood up to that dude, because he used to punk my little brother. So I think that's why I had that mentality where, like, I got to stand up for myself, or stand up for the people who I care about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I say my dad, he always gave me good advice, and maybe he planted that in me, I guess you could say, that stand up for yourself, because my dad always stood up for himself, and my mom, she always stood up for herself. So I guess maybe that's why I thought that way when I went to middle school. I was like, yo, let me stand up for myself, even though no one's messing with me. But, you know.
And I know you played football, right, in high school.
High
Did
school.
you play in middle school or until you got to high school?
Till high school, to actually 10th grade, because you know, to play football you have to go to that summer before. Right? So I didn't go to summer going into 9th grade, so I knew I wasn't going to get no playing time. So I started 10th grade, which going from 9th grade to 10th grade. So that summer I practiced and I started. But yeah, it was in high school.
Why did you get into it, or is it something that you had been thinking about?
I always wanted to play. In middle school, I played soccer. I didn't get no playing time because I was a little chubby kid. So even though my homies were the captains, and we're still getting up. But in football, so I was like, and I was new to the school. I was raised in Inglewood. I went to middle school in Inglewood, and my high school was in West LA. So I didn't really know nobody besides my sister, and so I joined to play a sport and to also get friends, you know, and until this day, a lot of people who I play football with, we keep in touch. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, because you grow up, you know, you go through the trenches with these people, you know, training, hell week, 2-a-days. So you become brothers in a sense, like, and we always had, it was kind of always funny because, you know, the movie Blood In, Blood Out. Mm. So we had the BGA, the Polar Bears, and the Latinos, and La Onda. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Even though we weren't racist, it's just kind of like our coach is like, oh, wow, man. But
so did you start like right away when you started playing football?
In 10th grade, I started in the O-line, left tackle. I always wanted to play defense, but for some reason they thought I was too big for defense, which I was a big kid. But in 11th grade, I played defense, and I was a nose guard, and I was good. But 12th grade, my pops at the time, he lived in St. Louis. So from 11th grade going to 12th grade, that summer, I didn't practice, and I went to go visit my dad. And so I came back, and I lost my starting job at the nose guard. So they put me back at the O-line. But even at the O-line, I lost my starting job to some dude that came from a school named Dorsey. So they have a lot of good football players. But he came from there. And, you know, when you practice, you have to, I think, practice 2 weeks before you can put your pads on and your helmet. So when I first got there, the coach was like, hey, man, you still want to be part of the team? Oh, yeah, I'll be part of the team, you know, because I want to play. Because everybody thought I went to the opposing school in Venice. At Venice, I recruited a lot of people from uni. Yeah. Because they're a top-notch team. And so that was a rumor, supposedly, I went to Venice. So when I came back, my coach saw me first day of school. Like, hey, what happened? I explained to him, you know, I haven't seen my pops for a while, so I went to go visit my pops this summer, you know. And so this dude was in my starting spot. And again, I guess that mentality, I was like, because, you know, you go heads up and you practice full. Everybody had the full gear except for me. So the coach was like, you sit out. And I was like, nah, I don't need my gear. So I guess I intimidated this dude. And he never came back to practice.
No way.
Yeah. That was kind of wild. He was a big shot to my spot.
Yeah.
Even though I was, like, in practice, I was kind of like, went 3-4 speed, you know. But during the games, I went all out. Even to this day, my homies be like, man, how come you're soft in practice? Soft? Like, dude, like, we're just practicing. Like Island Iverson, talking about practice, you know? But yeah, man, I still started, even though they thought I was soft. But 11th grade, I beat the senior who had the spot. So the coaches knew I was good. But my best year was 11th grade, even though we went 0 for 10. You know, I guess. But individually, that was my best year because I started O-line, then due to injuries, I went defense, and I did good during defense. The top school, Westchester, out here, I was getting through their O-line, getting tackles behind the running back behind the line. Maybe the quarterback was kind of good, so he kind of, when pump fakes, I would go and he'll take off, you know. But I still penetrated the line. I did good. But yeah, I didn't think as far as after high school, I didn't really have a plan as far as sports. Like I said, I was kind of always growing up an entrepreneur. Yeah. Because like, I don't know if you're elementary, they gave us, if we finished the book, they'll give us like Pizza Hut passes where you get a free personal pizza. So I was always reading books, and I would sell those passes. Of course, I'll keep some for myself, but then I'll sell those passes. And I always had the mind state of I guess, because I always saw, you know, my mom's working. She always worked. My pops, you know, he always worked. So maybe that was also something in my brain, you know, to try to get money. Because my mom, she always had not enough money, you know what I mean? So I did whatever possible not to ask for money. I wore the same pair of shoes the whole year, even though they'll be ripped.
Did they ever say anything to you in regards to that, or is it just because of your observation?
Observation.
You know, I asked that because my parents, and I think that may be something too, like, that I've come now, man, as an adult recently, like, and it's not that it's anyone's fault. It's just like your environment, right? But now as an adult, seeing like, hey, man, breaking that mentality.
Yeah.
But I asked that because growing up, man, like my parents were never the ones to discuss any problems in front of my brother and I or fight or nothing like that. You know, they did, I feel like, an amazing job. But I could see that though. I could still see, you know? And not until like I grew up that I was like, oh man, like, because I would sometimes even feel bad. Like my mom would take me to buy some school clothes and I would be like, nah, or just try to take one pair of jeans. And she's like, no, let's get you more.
Yeah.
But it's not because they were saying, oh, it's too expensive or is that. Yeah. So that's why I asked that. Like, you know, if they shared anything or it's just because of what you saw.
I think it's because of what I saw. We never really mentioned we didn't like have enough money to, you know, for the luxury stuff. Like they never took us to McDonald's or like Carl's Jr.'s, which I guess is a good thing, you know, because we couldn't afford it. So we knew we knew not to ask. We kind of always knew not to ask for things, you know what I mean? Unless we really needed it or something. And because my mom should be like, all right, you get, like I said, you get to pick one pair of shoes, but it's for the whole year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I remember putting shoes on layaway at Walmart and being excited.
Yeah.
when I got them. Yeah.
And I guess I knew we were broke. We're not broke, but not you know, not financially stable. Was when I was wearing some shoes that were bootleg. And I got clowned for wearing bootleg shoes, and I'm like, damn, these are the ones I picked for the whole year, you know?
Where'd you get them at?
Payless, you know, Payless.
How old were you?
Elementary. So, and maybe I always had hand-me-downs from my older bro, so maybe that's why I didn't think neither. Like I always had clothes coming in, you know, and but we always knew not to ask for some reason, you know. When they gave us something, we had it, I guess. Like we'll go to the store. I know my sisters though, they always had a new dress whenever we went out to a party or something.
So they were good.
Yeah, they were good.
They're girls.
And I always used to think, man, how come they get new clothes? Like we're wearing the same clothes. But I guess it was something from my mom's perspective that the girls need new dresses when we go out, or maybe I don't know, maybe the chit chatter between friends, like, oh look, got these girls wearing the same clothes or something. I don't know.
Maybe
you know?
It's a Latino thing too, bro. Of like maybe wanting to protect the girls more, or you know, because like me and my dad and my brother said, like, because my mom wanted a girl, you know, it was just me and my younger brother. But growing up, like, we talk about it and we're like, maybe it's a good thing that we didn't have a girl, because we definitely would have been really overprotective, you know?
Yeah.
But I think maybe that's a thing, you know? Just wanting to protect and like provide for the girls more than the boys, you know?
Yeah. So that was always the thing.
What are how many sisters do you have?
I have 2 older sisters, an older brother, and a younger brother. So it's five total.
Okay.
5 total.
So is everyone in LA?
Yeah, my brother, he's the only one that lives in Stockton.
Okay.
Yeah, he lives in Stockton. Everyone else is in LA. Yeah.
And for the most part, has everybody stayed here, or has anybody moved and come back?
Yeah, we all kind of lived in LA.
Okay.
Recently, my bro went out there. He with his wife, and but yeah, besides that, we all always kind of lived in LA.
Have you gone back to Mexico?
The only time I went to Mexico was when I was young. I was between 18 and 19. Because I guess, you know, I was acting bad. So my mom sent me to Mexico.
Really? Yeah, I would hear about that, bro. I would hear about that from other kids. Like, damn, they got sent to Mexico. Yeah.
But I was only out there for a month. I would have been out there longer, but I had to pay a ticket. And then I knew if I didn't pay it, I guess it'll become a warrant. So whenever I try to come back, I could have got arrested.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go pay that ticket.
Damn.
But I never went back. I never went back since I was 18, 19 years old.
So was that the only time you went?
Yeah, only time I went. Yeah.
How was that? You
it
said
was
a month?
A month also. And I went during a time where they had fiestas.
So like what, like around December? Or no, it's like February.
It was like summer, like August.
Oh, okay.
They had fiestas, and one of my uncles, one of my mom's cousins, like a second cousin, he was getting married. So it was like a dope ass wedding. It was like, and then it's a whole different experience. like everyone's cool, like, but also everyone knows everybody. So if you want to do certain things, you gotta be careful. Like some relatives that are started hanging out with out there, they I guess they smoked or whatever, and
So what, where you were at, was it like a city, a rancho, or
like
like?
it was like a little pueblo, I wouldn't say.
Hmm.
It was like my dad. I think where my dad's from is more rancho, and where my mom's from is like is by the Guadalupe. So it was like a little pueblo, and because there's like a big church, and in front of the church every Sunday the girls will go in a circle, I guess, and the guys have to buy a rose and you pick one. You know, that's kind of cool. You know, something different. You know, so that was something different. I was able to drink, but it was funny. I bumped into one of the neighbors, one of my grandpa, because I was out there with my grandpa, and there's a girl neighbor that was kind of my age, I would say, and we're at the liquor store, and I just say hi, you know, and she was like, "Oh, we're not supposed to talk to you," and I'm like, "Why?" You know, Spanish, and she's like, "Oh, because you just came out of jail," because I had my head shaved, you know, and I was like, "What? What the fuck?" I'm like, "Nah, like I was just out here, you know."
It's crazy, bro. Yeah, the way that they viewed you, like, bro. Even like when I would go back, like one of my other cousins, we're the same age too. They would talk mad shit because like they thought if you didn't come and spoke Spanish, they thought that you were too arrogant now, you know. So they'd be like, "Well, fuck you too, then," you know. So yeah, that's sort of like that judgment was real.
Yeah, but it was cool out there. I used to, you know, I did music. As growing up, I wanted to be a music artist. So I went out there and I just had my headphones on, walk around the pueblo, like writing music, you know? So it was kind of cool. So maybe that's why people saw me. Also, I would go to buy like the little drinks with tequila and like a tequila mix.
I thought you were a cholo.
Yeah, they thought I was a cholo. And I was always by myself. And because I didn't know nobody, you know? So there's one kid from the town, I guess. He started kicking with me. I didn't know who it was, but I guess he knew my relatives. So he was like, I guess he was showing me around everywhere. It's kind of cool. He was like a little tour guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a cool experience. I want to take my kids there one day.
Hell yeah.
My mom, she lives out there. She has a little house.
That's when I met you. It was through music.
Yeah.
I think it was when I was still doing the Queen of Kings stuff.
Yeah. That's when we first met, man.
Yeah, I remember that.
We, I guess online. Mm-hmm. Well, I started following
Zoo
Culture, and at the time I was losing weight. I was a big dude, 335 pounds. So I wanted to relate or like to. I started losing weight, and it was 2015 when I first started, and then started following Zoo Culture, and I wanted to follow like-minded people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's dope. Then you did music, you lifted weights, a lot. It's just dope. Then I bought your single. Oh, it's just hard, you know?
Yeah.
And like you were very persistent. I remember you were selling shirts.
Yeah.
And you're like, bro, like you want to buy? You would hit me up. Like, oh man, this dude's fucking hustler out here, man. And I think that's what kind of like, man, I want to be this fool's homie because this was like, you know, this was out here hustling and shit. Like we kind of had the same mentality, you know? Because when I was hardcore doing music. I was in kind of the same way. Like I would hit people up, like, yo, I got these tickets for my show, like, you know, all the time. And I would hit a lot of people up, and kind of the same way you were doing, you know. So like, man, I could be homeless with this fool, you know. And yeah, man. So I was doing music as a kid. You know, you grow up like trying to become famous, get your mama a house, you know, move out the hood. So that was kind of my mentality of why I wanted to do music. I didn't really have at the time, I guess, a message or like money and hoes was really my motive, you know, and get my mama a house, you know.
Yeah.
And but it came to and I was hustling, man. I was doing underground shows every weekend, like man, like. But I guess I would say where I fell off in the music was I wasn't really concentrating on myself, really. Like, I was always been the type of person who, like, wanted to help others. You know what I mean? So, like, my homies, I would help my homies. And when I would get shows, I would throw my homies on the shows instead of just like when you get a show, you get like 3-4 songs. So then I'll be like, all right, man, you guys want to hop on the set, or you guys perform one of your singles, you know? So, and I always wanted to connect with people and try to do something big. I always thought doing something big, you know what I mean? So I didn't really concentrate on myself. I would say 100% of the time, which is whatever, you know. I was then, you know, I got to a certain weight where I was like breathing hard when I was in the booth. I was like, man. And I had lost a lot of weight in my mid-20s. I was, like I said, I was always a big dude. By the time I graduated high school, I was 325 pounds. But you don't, so I started at 215 ninth grade and 325 because our coaches used to tell us, get big. I want you guys to get big. But I didn't think he meant lifting weights, so I was just eating. So after practice, before practice, you know, we just eat, and I'll tell the coach, yeah, man, we're eating, you know. But because they weren't really like our coaches, I would say if they would have maybe gave more effort, you know, like as far as telling students to like, yo, you guys want to get better, stay after practice. Let's go hit the bench. Let's go hit the weights. So I think. But I guess it's also on the student, you know what I mean? You want to try harder. But by the time practice ended, I lived far away, so I had to bus it. So if I stayed afterwards, I would get home late, you know what I mean? I would get in trouble. But yeah, man. So yeah, I was always big, and I lost weight because I was trying to play at the West LA College. I want to play running back because when we played like with friends in parks, I was always like Jerome Bettis because I was big, but I always had quick feet. So it was always hard to tackle me. Like even in high school, I wanted to play running back, but the coaches see a big guy and put him on the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even I tried to play tight end. Like they would put me in tight end in practice, and I would do good because I could catch the ball. But during the game, they just put me on the line. You know. So and when I got to college, when I was losing a lot of weight because. So my goal was to hit like 225, and I stalled at 245
from 325.
And I was in my mid-20s. I would say I was kind of doing it for the wrong reason when I was losing weight because there was this girl who I liked.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm gonna try to lose some weight.
There's always a girl involved.
You know what I mean? Then when I find out she was already pregnant with kids, I'm like, all this shit I did. So like, I kind of lost a little motivation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even, look, when I was trying to play, I went off topic, but when I was trying to play in college, so I was already good. Like I would run, because there's a park in the neighborhood, you run it once, it's 2 miles. So we would run it, me and my one of my friends, and then I went to West LA, started doing weight training there. Then that's when I was like, I saw one of my friends who I went to high school with, and he was playing football there, and I was like, oh, that's just dope. I wanna play. But then we were playing basketball one day at the park, and I twisted my ankle. Like I was balling. Like basketball was probably my number one sport, probably my favorite sport to play, because growing up we had a hoop in the back. We always had a basketball court in the back, and so that was kind of my favorite sport. So I always played. I was a little chubby kid, but I always had, like I said, I always had quick feet, and I was good at shooting threes. So when I got in shape, man, I was balling at the park, balling. And I think there was one dude, he might have been hating. So when I went up for the shot, he stood underneath me. So when I landed on his foot, and my ankle, so I was out. And that kind of just motivated me. Went to a liquor store and grabbed a 40 ounce. You know what I mean? And then I couldn't run for like 2 months. So I kind of gained some weight back. And I never really tried again so I just saw like, fuck it, I'm just do this music, I hurt my ankle. I forgot, I think there's like a Mac 10 line where you say, I hurt my ankle, I was playing ball, I hurt my ankle, and so I started doing music. So I was like, fuck it, I'll be like Mac 10. And so I started concentrating more on the music. And but then I got to the point I was breathing hard again, and I weighed myself. Because when I was 240, after we losing that weight, I never really weighed myself again. Then I got to the point, I'm like, man, I bought a scale, and I was living in the homie's garage, which was kind of cool because I had my little studio in the garage. And I was like, oh shit, I'm 325 again, 335 again. And I thought the years, it was only like maybe 4 years. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm gaining 20 pounds a year. Because, in the studio, you just munch, smoke, not really too much drinking, but a lot of junk food, a lot of junk food involved. And not really working out. The only time we worked out, we went to go play ball at the park. But it's really like an hour, and not so often, So then at the time, I started dating this girl who is now my wife. She's younger than me. She's younger than me, so I was doing music, and she loves music. She loves hip hop. So the way she started liking me is we worked at the same job, and it was a Christmas party. I was a little tipsy, and all the employees knew I did music, and she was kind of like new. I think she was like maybe 2-3 months in.
Yeah.
And so I got on top of the table, and I started performing in front of everybody. And then she's like, oh shit, you do music? And I guess she thought I was cool, So we started talking. So then I was like, when I weighed myself, because she liked to work out, she liked to go running and stuff. And so it kind of motivated me to kind of be healthier. Mm-hmm. And we started dating. We dated for like 2-3 years. Then I was like, all right, this is a girl I want to spend my life with, you know what I mean? But like I said, she was like way younger. Well, she's 8 years younger than me, my wife. Mm. So I'm this big dude, like I need to, if I need to be the better version of myself to, I want her to be part of my life, So I don't want a young dude like trying to holler at my girl, So I need to fucking do this shit.
Yeah, straighten up.
Yeah. So she's a big part of the reason why I lost a lot of weight. I started 2015. By 2017, I was 215 pounds. But I was fucking cardio bunny. Cardio. Now, I'm at 245, 250. I kind of stick to that weight. I want to get back to 225. But I think of the hard. I lift weights. I lift weights. I try 4 to 5 times a week, but I'm not a cardio bunny like I was. Because when I lost all that weight, I was weak. Because all I did was cardio.
Yeah,
I was weak. So then when I started getting strong, I hurt my back, and fuck. And I thought I was mentally strong at that point. But when I hurt my back, I knew I wasn't mentally strong because I started like fucking feeling depressed, fucking eating. But I stuck. I didn't gain more than like. I gained probably like 20 pounds, which I'm 245. So since like 2018, I've been at 245. But I'm a lot stronger than I was when I was 215.
Yeah, with the strength training.
Yeah. So kind of like my stomach's probably like the only thing. But it's probably from being big all the many years that I have lonjas, But now, yeah, I'm trying to, like right now, I'm trying to get back to 225 because now we have kids, man. And like I said, growing up without a pop, sometimes you want to end that cycle, you know what I mean? And I don't want my health, something you could control, be was holding me back from being with my kids.
Yeah.
I can't control anything else but what I eat and how I work out and how I want. Like sometimes when I'm not around my kids and I go out, I feel what's the word? I feel bad. Like, man, I should be at home with my kids, Yeah. Even though my wife tells me, nah, go out, like, cause she goes out with her friends and I don't mind, I'll stay home with the kids, with the boys, and I feel so like, but when I go out like today, this business, I don't feel as bad because it's something I'm doing to better my future and for my future of my kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's where I'm at now.
So tell me more about like what you have planned with the brand. I know you put out some, like, cause like I said, I met you through music, and then found out you did music, and then we just started kicking it.
Yeah.
You know, we would kick it pretty often, and then I think maybe like around 2019, we sort of lost touch a little bit,
Yeah.
and then when I saw you started doing that, I was like, man, this is pretty dope.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember reaching out and telling you that. So like since then, like, and I remember you asking me about it too, and I'm like, well, tell me what the brand is, you know. And when you told me what it stood for and what it meant to you and everything, I said, man, like, because that I come from that too, you know. And so I've seen it, and I've seen you progress with it like greatly. So what do you got in store for it?
As far as the brand, future? Like, I kind of want to make it like a, like I'm as far as like now the way I think now, I'm not doing it for the money. You know what I mean? I'm doing it for the love, like for the purpose of representing for your culture, for your people, for showing hope that we could do things. You know, fortunately, I started late, but maybe it is the right time. Maybe it's not. I did not start late. You know, maybe it was the perfect time, and I want to show that, like, as cliche as it sounds, that si se puede. You know, like we can do it. Like if we put our minds to it, you can do anything you want to do. You know what I mean? You just have to go out there and do it. Like I did music, but I always wanted to do clothing because it kind of went together. You know what I mean? But with the music, I didn't really have like, what should I call my company? What should what should I showcase, or like what should it be about? You know?
Like maybe you didn't feel like you had found your voice.
Yeah, no, because with the music, I didn't really have a message. You know, I was always, like I said, money, hoes, and drugs. Not drugs, but like, you know, smoking. You know, kicking it with the homies. I always rap, like I never gangbang. I grew up around gangs, but you see what happens. You know, so you kind of so you rap about it. You know, it's like you fake it till you make it, I guess you could say, with the music. Or as far as lyric writing, you know what I mean? Like I could talk about shooting gaps. I never shot a gap, you know what I mean? But sometimes it's what you see that you write, you know? Like I said, I started underground. So when I was doing a lot of underground, a lot of my music was more political, more like standing up for like my lyrics were more kind of like standing up for what I believed in. But when I try to go, I guess, not pop, but like commercial music, it was more about like the lifestyle, more about going out to clubs, partying, you know. So yeah, I didn't have the right message. I didn't, like I said, I didn't have the right voice. Now, all grown up, like I said, I realized what my parents went through. Like as a kid, you don't think about it. You don't think your parents are immigrants, you know, because you don't ask those questions. You know what I mean? Like you're just a kid living life. But then as an adult, you think about all the struggle. Like you talk to your parents, and you think about what they went through. You're like, oh shit! Like my parents really came out here from a different country, trying to be better people, trying to grow a family. You know, because I guess where they were from, they didn't see opportunities, so they wanted opportunities. So, like, do I let this go to waste? You know, like their struggles go to waste, or do I want to do something for myself, like for my children? You know, like all the moves I do now is really to try to provide a better future for my kids. Like, you know, that's the way I think. That's the reason I got this new 9 to 5. I'm putting a lot of hours, but I'm putting a lot of hours because I want to provide better finance for my children. You know.
Yeah.
Like for example, last year I tried shrooms for the first time. Shroomed out. My cousin, he has the herbs, you know, the shrooms on that. But I always like, cause you see movies and like, oh, this was tripping out. So I was kind of not really trying to do that, you know. But one time I was like, man, I'm gonna try it. You know, I want to not be like, what if, like, what, you know, you always want it. So I wanted to try it. And my cousin, we did our photo shoot. We did my first photo shoot. My cousin, he was a photographer, and he had some pills. I guess what's it called, microdose.
Yeah.
And he gave me some micro. And during the photo shoot, I kind of thought, oh man, this shit kind of feels cool. Like you feel in the zone, you know. So because I wasn't smoking because this job that I have now, they require a drug test. Mm. So I was sober. So I was like, man, let me try these shrooms, you know, since I'm not smoking. And it was cool. I felt cool. And then I hit him up like, yo, like I bought some. And one day I was like, I'm gonna try it. So I ate a whole eighth. My first time shrooming out, I ate a whole eighth, bro. I was tripping. I was watching a TV show Gentefied. And just tripping out. Like, well, it was kind of cool that I watched that show, because that show is about like raza. It kind of like gave me subliminal messages, you know. And then at the end of my trip, it told me, because you know your trip talks to you. Like for people who haven't shroomed, I would suggest maybe trying it once, because they talk to you, you know. And it told me I was broke. My trip told me I need to be better in my finances. So like, all right, I need to find a better job to provide for my kids, you know. So that's what I did, and that was kind of cool. And but I would suggest eating a whole eighth your first time. I told my cousin, he was like, man, fool, you crazy, man. It was the first time, like, damn, you ate the whole eighth. I'm like, fuck it, man. You told me if I wanted to feel it, eat the whole eighth.
Yeah, me and Sharky, like this year, like we've been on a big wave of that. But, yeah, we're pretty intense with it. So yeah, it's been a lot of. It is, man, and it's like psychedelics itself. Like it opens your mind up in a great way. Like Jordan Peterson was describing it too, of an early study that was done in the 60s or late 50s. This discovery of like this sort of spaceship that we don't have full comprehension of fully what it is, but with these psychedelics, it's like it gives you an insight to the power that's within you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and because really, man, like, all that is, it's just yourself, really.
Yeah. It's
so
like you're self-conscious,
it's just
right? Like
opening it up.
Talking to you, like telling you what you're supposed to, like, I would say as far as, like, what you don't want to hear, but it's telling you. You know what I mean?
Like, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah. Supposedly you're not supposed to stare at a mirror or something, right? So I looked at my reflection. I looked like Professor.
Oh, bro, I do it all the time.
Nutty Professor. I'm like, what the fuck? So that's when I started like working out again. Like, all right, I need to start eating better. It's really what you what you eat.
Yeah.
Ever since then, I've been on it. Like, as far as eating better, like healthier choices. You know, no junk food and stuff, soda. But yeah, man. So the 2 times that I kind of really tripped, it really helped me focus with what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? I started smoking more after I finished high school football, because I didn't really have a plan. You know?
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm not playing football no more. So you know, here and there I dabble with it, but more after high school is where I started smoking more. Nowadays I microdose with the smoking. Like I kind of like, you know, smoke before I work out. Like I try to get in the zone with the smoking, put some Wu-Tang on, and start working out. Right now I'm on the Wu-Tang, so I kind of like turn that on when I work out. And
again, man, I feel like too, like life is a progression, right?
Yeah.
So it's when you allow yourself to go with that flow of yourself. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like we try to hold on maybe to things, even certain habits, instead of like, hey, you grow, you change, your interests change, or like you said, like now that you have kids, like priorities change.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like if you just allow yourself to go that route, it's always way better than to try to fight to stay a certain way, or you know.
Yeah, you grow as a person. You learn new things. Yeah, that's what it is. Like that's why I think me starting this brand now was perfect timing, because now, like I've always been that political dude, but I try not to mix too much politics with the brand. But sometimes it's hard because the name itself is political, Raised by Immigrants. Like the other day, me and my homie, he hasn't tried shrooms, right? So we went to the beach and we shroomed out. My cousin makes bars. We had a half a bar each, and I was wearing this hat, and we're walking around, and I felt like people were kind of like people were judging me because of the hat. You know, like read my hat and like who's this guy out here? You know, like I felt like I was being judged for some reason, but maybe that was just a trip, like.
You know, my experience, because like I rep it all the time. My experiences have been positive, really, for the most part, even from people that aren't. So I think it's a great thing, man, because it is true. There's so many people that anywhere around and really, bro, like America itself. You know, somewhere down the line, man, they came to this country.
Exactly. This country was built on immigration. They migrated from across the seas, you know what I mean? So yeah, sometimes I do get those comments online, like this border crossed us, we didn't cross the border, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, even then, our parents still migrated, you know? Even, I try to like not comment back and stuff like that, because me myself, I'm still trying to get more knowledge, you know, as far as like, if someone really wants to hold a conversation about immigration and like what's going on in the country, you know, stuff like that.
And I feel, man, at the end of the day, like if you feel like that you're doing the right thing, you're always gonna face opposition.
Yeah.
You know, even recently, like without going too much into detail, like even like my own makeup, you know? But it's like when I know I'm living right and I've put thought into it and purpose of what I'm doing, like it's like art, like you can't be afraid to express yourself, you know? So it's like with that, like as long as you know like you're doing it with truth and the right intention and purpose, there's always going to be people that disagree. So what, you know?
So what?
Yeah,
exactly. That's why, you know, and it's who we are.
Yeah,
you know?
it's true.
I was raised by immigrants. You can't deny it.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to name the brand that, because it's who I am, it's who I represent, and it's a lot of people are the same. There's a whole lot of people who are first generation.
And it too, I feel like it also represents, even if you're not, it represents an attitude of dreaming big, of hope, like you said, of work ethic, you know, of character, of family. You know, because all that and more, but to name a few, all those things are what I see from immigrants, that of the priorities that we have of why we want to succeed. You know, so I think that somebody that isn't that can still find relatable because of those things, because that's just a human being. You know, wanting to provide, wanting to move forward, wanting to make the big dreams a reality. You know, so yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. And tell everybody where we can find you at. Your website, any socials?
Yeah, my website is racebyimmigrants.clothing.store. Social media is race_by_immigrants_. I kind of wanted to separate the words. But you'll see my logo on it.
We're going to put it up on the tag.
Yeah, man. So I'm just trying to provide a sense of pride and a sense of like hope that anything you do is possible, man. Anything you put your best efforts, you can do it, man. We all want to be the best version of ourselves, because that's who the world deserves to, you know, to know.
That's
you know
right.
What I mean? Yeah, we deserve to be the best version of ourselves, because we never know what we could achieve if we don't try. You know what I mean? And it's never too late, man. It's never too late. I started losing weight at 31 years old. You know, I'm in my mid-30s now. It's possible. I started my clothing line a few years back. It's never too late, man.
Never.
It's never too late.
Well, thank you for coming on,
No problem, man.
Midnight Rockers, we'll see y'all. We out.
Yeah.
Ha!